Bullies humiliate poor girl. Elon Musk's reaction changes their lives forever. Lily clutched the straps of her old, faded backpack as she walked through the halls of Crestwood Academy, eyes down, shoulders hunched. The laughter and chatter of her classmates buzzed around her, but she kept her focus on the scuffed linoleum floor. If she didn't make eye contact, maybe they wouldn't notice her today. She wasn't so lucky. A foot shot out in front of her, and before she could react, her knee buckled, and she went tumbling forward. The contents of her backpack spilled across the floor, her worn-out notebooks, secondhand textbooks, and a sandwich wrapped in a napkin. Laughter erupted around her. "Oh my God, Lily, are you serious?" Jessica's voice rang out, dripping with mockery. She stood over Lily with her arms crossed, her designer backpack hanging off one shoulder. "Do you ever not embarrass yourself?" Lily scrambled to gather her things, her hands shaking. The crowd of students surrounding her whispered and giggled. Jessica's group of friends, Emma, Brooke, and Savannah, stepped forward. Emma nudged Lily's sandwich with her shoe, sneering. "EW, you actually eat that?" "I bet she makes it herself because she can't afford lunch," Savannah added, her voice loud enough for everyone to hear. Lily's cheeks burned, but she said nothing. She had learned that responding only made things worse. She tucked her sandwich back into her bag and reached for her last book, but Jessica was faster. She snatched it up and held it above her head. "What even is this? Advanced robotics and engineering?" She raised an eyebrow. "You actually think you're going to be some big scientist or something?" The group laughed. "I mean, come on, Lily," Jessica continued, flipping through the pages. "You don't belong in a class like this. Who do you think you are? Elon Musk?" More laughter. Lily clenched her jaw, her nails digging into her palm. "Just take it," she told herself. "Just let them laugh." But before Jessica could say another word, a voice interrupted. "Excuse me," a calm but firm voice cut through the noise. The crowd turned. A man stood just a few feet away, hands in the pockets of his jeans, a simple gray t-shirt stretched over his frame. His expression was unreadable, but his piercing gaze swept across the group of students like a silent warning. Jessica blinked. "Who?" Then she realized. The murmurs began spreading through the hallway like wildfire. "Wait, is that?" "No way." Jessica's face paled. "Elon Musk." He stood there, looking from Jessica to Lily, then down at the book still clutched in Jessica's hands. He tilted his head slightly, as if sizing up the situation. Jessica quickly dropped the book, letting it fall to the ground as though it had burned her fingertips. "Is there a problem here?" Elon asked, his tone even. No," Jessica stammered. "We were just..." Elon's gaze didn't waver. Jessica shifted on her feet, her confidence draining rapidly. Her friends had fallen completely silent, eyes wide with disbelief. Lily stared up at him, her heart pounding. This had to be a dream. Why was Elon Musk at her school? And why was he standing up for her? After a long pause, Elon finally broke the silence. He bent down, picked up Lily's book, and dusted it off. Then, without a word, he handed it back to her. Lily hesitated before taking it, her fingers brushing against the worn cover. "Thank you," she whispered. Elon nodded but didn't look away from Jessica and her friends. "What's your name?" he asked Jessica, his voice still calm but firm. Jessica swallowed hard. "Jessica?" "Well, Jessica," he said, taking a step forward. "You seem like a bright girl." Jessica's eyes darted around, searching for an escape. Yeah. "So tell me," Elon continued, "what do you gain from tearing someone else down?" Jessica opened her mouth, but no words came out. Elon let the question hang in the air for a moment before speaking again. "Do you think intelligence and success are determined by wealth? By the brand of your backpack?" Jessica didn't dare answer. Elon glanced around at the students who were still watching. "Because if that were true," he continued, "then I wouldn't be standing here." The hallway was so silent that Lily could hear the distant hum of the school's intercom system. "I wasn't born rich," Elon said. "I was bullied too. I was called names, pushed around. People told me I wasn't good enough." Jessica and her friends stood frozen, their faces unreadable. "But I worked hard. I ignored the voices telling me I couldn't do it," Elon continued. And now? Now I get to decide the future of space exploration, electric vehicles, and artificial intelligence. He folded his arms. What do you get from bullying someone? A cheap laugh? Jessica's face burned red. Her friends had inched away, as if they wanted to disassociate from her completely. Elon turned to Lily. Lily, is it? She nodded quickly. He glanced at the book in her hands. Are you interested in robotics? Lily swallowed. Why, yes. I want to be an engineer. A small smile flickered across Elon's lips. Then you should keep studying. Because one day, you might be building rockets with us at SpaceX. Lily's breath caught in her throat. Elon looked back at Jessica and the others. And maybe, instead of tearing her down, you should be thinking about what you want to do with your own futures. Jessica's lip trembled and she looked away. Elon nodded as if satisfied and turned back to Lily. Come with me for a second. Lily hesitated but followed as he walked down the hall. The crowd slowly began to disperse, the students whispering furiously among themselves. Jessica stood frozen in place, her mind still reeling. Elon led Lily to the principal's office, where a few staff members were waiting. I was supposed to be here to discuss an education initiative, Elon explained to the principal. But I think we need to do something more. The principal nodded, still looking stunned that Elon Musk was standing in front of him. What do you suggest? Elon turned to Lily. How would you like to visit Tesla and SpaceX? See how real engineers work. Lily's eyes widened. I would love that. Elon grinned. Good. He turned back to the principal. And as for the school, I think we need to implement a new program. Something that encourages students to innovate, to dream big, instead of wasting time trying to put others down. The principal nodded quickly. Of course. We can make that happen. Elon turned back to Lily. No one gets to decide your future but you. And trust me, people like Jessica, they won't matter in the long run. Lily blinked back, the tears forming in her eyes. For the first time in a long time, she felt something she had almost forgotten. Lily could barely believe what was happening. One moment she was picking up her books off the dirty school floor while the whole school laughed at her, and the next she was standing beside Elon Musk, the most famous entrepreneur in the world, talking about a future she had only ever dared to dream of. Her hands still trembled as she clutched the book he had handed back to her. She felt the weight of the moment. This wasn't just some random act of kindness. Elon Musk, of all people, had noticed her, stood up for her. And now, he was offering her a glimpse into a world she had never imagined she could be part of. The principal, a middle-aged man with graying hair and tired eyes, looked from Lily to Elon as if still processing what had just happened. Mr. Musk, are you serious about this? Elon turned to face him fully, his arms crossed. Completely. The principal cleared his throat, shifting uncomfortably. We certainly appreciate your generosity, but we do have an academic process and… Elon held up a hand, silencing him. I'm not asking for any exceptions. I'm offering an opportunity. He gestured to Lily. She's already doing the hard part, pushing forward despite everything. But too many kids like her don't get the support they need. That's what needs to change. Lily swallowed, still unable to fully grasp the gravity of the situation. The principal nodded quickly. Of course. I agree completely. He glanced toward his office door, as if nervous that a superintendent or board member might overhear. If you'd like, I can arrange a formal visit to Tesla and SpaceX for Lily. Elon smirked. Not just for her. Lily's heart skipped a beat. Jessica, who had been standing near the entrance of the office, shifted uncomfortably as Elon turned to face her and her group. You too, he said. Jessica blinked, her mouth slightly open. Emmy? Elon nodded. You and your friends. You're coming too. The room went dead silent. Even the principal looked confused. Jessica's friends, Emma, Brooke, and Savannah, stared at each other, their expressions twisting from embarrassment to panic. Lily couldn't hide her surprise. Why was he inviting them? Jessica, normally brimming with confidence, looked completely thrown off. She opened her mouth, then closed it. Why would I? Elon's gaze was unwavering. Because you need to see what real success looks like. Jessica flinched as if she had been slapped. Elon continued, his voice steady but firm. You think power comes from belittling others. That confidence comes from tearing people down. But let me tell you something, true confidence, true success, comes from building something, from working for something, from pushing forward when no one believes in you. Jessica's eyes darted to Lily, then back to Elon. I don't expect you to change overnight, Elon said. But I do expect you to show up. Jessica let out a breath. And if we don't? Elon's smirk returned. Then you'll be left behind. But I don't think you want that. Jessica didn't respond. The principal cleared his throat again. Well, Mr. Musk, if you're certain about this, I can arrange. Elon turned back to Lily. Are you in? Lily felt the weight of everyone's eyes on her. But for once, she didn't feel small. She didn't feel weak. She stood a little taller, gripping her book tightly. Yes, she said, her voice stronger than she expected. I'm in. Elon nodded approvingly. Good. He looked at Jessica. And you? Jessica hesitated. For the first time in her life, she wasn't the one in control. She glanced at her friends, but they weren't offering any support. They were just as unsure as she was. Then finally she sighed. Fine. Elon smiled. See? That wasn't so hard. Lily watched as Jessica shifted on her feet, clearly uncomfortable. It was the first time she had ever seen the usually smug girl look so lost. For a brief moment, Lily felt a pang of something unexpected. Empathy. Because for the first time, it wasn't Lily who was the outsider. It was Jessica. And maybe, just maybe, this was the first step towards something bigger than either of them. 2 weeks later, Lily stood in front of the Tesla Gigafactory, staring up at the enormous facility. She had barely slept the night before, her nerves keeping her awake. She had spent hours researching Tesla, SpaceX, everything Elon Musk had ever done. And now, she was actually here. Jessica and her friends stood a few feet away, looking out of place in their expensive clothes. They weren't sneering. They weren't laughing. They were just quiet. Elon met them at the entrance, dressed in his usual casual style. All right, he said. Let's get started. For the next several hours, he led them through the factory. Lily was mesmerized. Robots assembling cars with precision, engineers testing new battery technologies, workers moving with efficiency that looked almost choreographed. She listened to every word Elon said, absorbing the knowledge like a sponge. Jessica, on the other hand, looked uncomfortable, out of place. But the longer they stayed, the more she seemed to pay attention. Then came the real test. Elon led them to a private conference room inside the SpaceX facility. On the table were 4 tablets, one for each of them. Jessica raised an eyebrow. What's this? Elon smirked. A challenge? Lily leaned forward, intrigued. Elon tapped on a screen, and suddenly, a coding interface popped up. You're going to program a simple AI task. Don't worry, I've given you all the tools you need. You just have to figure out how to use them. Jessica scoffed. Are you serious? We don't know how to code. Elon's smirk widened. Neither did I at your age. Jessica hesitated. Lily, without waiting, picked up her tablet and began reading the instructions. Jessica watched her for a moment, then, almost reluctantly, picked up her own tablet. For the next hour, the room was silent except for the tapping of fingers against screens. Lily worked through the logic with excitement, feeling like she was exactly where she was meant to be. Jessica struggled. She got frustrated. She groaned and complained. But she didn't quit. Finally, Elon clapped his hands. Time's up. They all looked up. Elon checked their work, nodding approvingly at Lily's progress. Then he turned to Jessica's tablet. She had barely finished half of the task. Jessica tensed, expecting him to mock her. Instead, he grinned. Not bad for someone who thought she couldn't do it. Jessica blinked. Wait, what? Elon sat on the edge of the table. You think intelligence is about being naturally gifted? It's not. It's about persistence. You failed, but you didn't quit. That's what matters. Jessica stared at him, something shifting in her expression. Lily watched silently. She realized something in that moment. Jessica wasn't a lost cause. She just never had to struggle before. Elon stood. All right, One last question for you all. They looked up. What are you going to do with this? He asked. Are you going to walk away and forget everything? Or are you going to prove to yourself that you're capable of more? Lily already knew her answer. But it was Jessica who surprised her. I want to learn more, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. Elon nodded, satisfied. Then let's get started. Jessica's words hung in the air, almost surreal. The same girl who had humiliated Lily in front of the entire school was now admitting, in front of everyone, that she wanted to learn more. Lily wasn't sure how to feel about it. A part of her still remembered every cruel word, every laugh, every moment of shame Jessica and her friends had inflicted on her. But another part of her, one she wasn't expecting, felt something else entirely. Elon nodded, his sharp eyes scanning each of them. Good, he said simply, as if he had known this was coming all along. Then let's see how serious you are. Jessica hesitated, glancing at her friends, who still looked skeptical. What do you mean? Elon crossed his arms. I mean, I'm giving you a real shot. Not a tour, not a one-time coding challenge. A chance to actually do something meaningful. But only if you're willing to put in the work. Lily's heart raced. Was he saying what she thought he was saying? Savannah, one of Jessica's friends, scoffed. Wait, like homework? Elon chuckled. More like a real-world problem. A challenge? He leaned forward slightly. Something most people would tell you you're not capable of solving. Jessica shifted on her feet, clearly uneasy. And what happens if we fail? Elon shrugged. You'll have proven exactly what I suspected, that you're afraid of failing. Jessica flinched, her pride stung. Her friends exchanged uncertain glances. Lily, however, sat up straighter. What's the challenge? Elon grinned. He pulled out his tablet and tapped the screen. Within seconds, a new simulation appeared on their devices. A complex problem involving sustainable energy storage. This, Elon said, pointing at the screen. It's one of the biggest challenges in clean energy. I want each of you to come up with a solution. Even if it's theoretical. Emma, another one of Jessica's friends, scoffed. We're high schoolers. How are we supposed to? Elon cut her off. Age doesn't matter. Effort does. You have 1 week. Show me what you've got. Lily felt her pulse quicken. This was it. Jessica, on the other hand, looked trapped. She had already agreed to participate, and now there was no backing out without looking like a coward. Lily caught the flicker of panic in Jessica's expression. And against all logic, she felt a strange sense of empathy. Jessica had always had everything handed to her. This was probably the first time in her life she was being asked to prove herself. For Lily, proving herself was all she had ever done. Elon clapped his hands together. All right, you've got your task. Let's see who's serious. Lily went home that night and threw herself into research. She scoured the internet for information on battery storage, renewable energy, and energy efficiency. She took notes, watched videos, even sketched out ideas in her notebook. For the first time in her life, she wasn't just studying for survival. She was studying to create something. But something strange happened as the days passed. Jessica started working too. Lily noticed it in the library, where she found Jessica poring over articles about lithium-ion batteries. She saw it in the way Jessica, Emma, and Savannah whispered among themselves, actually studying instead of gossiping. It wasn't perfect. They still had their moments of arrogance. But something had shifted. Lily found herself watching Jessica, not with resentment, but with curiosity. Maybe people could change. The day of the presentation, Elon Musk sat at the front of the classroom, arms crossed, a slight smirk playing on his lips as he watched the students prepare. Lily stood beside Jessica, each of them clutching their notes, both nervous for entirely different reasons. Jessica was about to prove whether she could actually handle something outside of her comfort zone. And Lily? She was about to prove she had belonged in this world all along. One by one, students presented their ideas. Most were good, some were average. Then, it was Lily's turn. She stepped forward, took a deep breath, and began. Her voice was steady as she explained her concept for a more efficient, cost-effective battery using alternative materials. She backed it up with research, outlined her calculations, and detailed how it could make sustainable energy accessible for low-income communities. When she finished, there was silence. Then Elon spoke. "That," he said, "was excellent." Lily exhaled, relief flooding her. Then, to her surprise, Jessica stepped forward. Elon arched an eyebrow. "Ready?" Jessica swallowed hard. "Yeah." She took a deep breath and launched into her explanation. Her idea wasn't as technically complex as Lily's, but it was innovative. She had focused on education, designing a program that would teach younger students about clean energy and how to implement small-scale projects in their homes. It wasn't genius, but it was smart. And most importantly, it showed effort. When she finished, Elon nodded. "Not bad." Jessica's face broke into a hesitant smile. Elon stood, looking between the two girls. "I have to say," he said, "I'm impressed." Jessica's friends beamed, clearly relieved that she had held her own. But then Elon turned to Lily. "And you," he said, "you have something special?" Lily's breath caught. "I see myself in you," Elon continued. "The way you think, the way you push forward even when people doubt you." He paused, then nodded to himself. "I'd like to offer you a personal mentorship." Lily froze. "I what?" Elon smiled. "I want to help you. I want to see what you can really do when you have the right resources." Jessica and her friends exchanged looks. They had bullied her. They had mocked her. And now, she was the one getting a personal mentorship from the richest man in the world. Lily felt her throat tighten. "I don't know what to say." "Say yes," Elon said simply. Lily didn't hesitate. "Yes." As the classroom emptied, Jessica lingered behind, staring at the floor. Lily noticed. And for the first time, she didn't feel bitterness. She felt understanding. She walked up to Jessica. "You did good," she said quietly. Jessica looked up, surprised. Lily hesitated before adding, "And if you want to keep learning, I'll help." Jessica's eyes widened. For the first time ever, she didn't see Lily as a nobody. She saw her as someone worth knowing. Jessica nodded slowly. "Yeah, I'd like that." Elon sat in his Tesla later that evening, watching the sunset, a rare moment of stillness in his usually chaotic life. He thought about Lily, and about Jessica, and about how people aren't born great or terrible, they become what they're shaped into. He had once been a kid like Lily, mocked, doubted, underestimated. And Jessica? She was proof that sometimes, people just needed to be challenged. Maybe she would change. Maybe she wouldn't. But Lily? She was going to change the world. And he couldn't wait to see it happen.